Don't play nothing that's gonna get us a copyright strike now. You know, YouTube unfortunately does not play your shit.
Actually, that was my intention, but I just grabbed something real fast because I was like,
No,
"Yeah, what's up here?"
you can't play nothing that's because YouTube will strike the whole video.
Man, that's some bull. You can't even
Yeah,
send a shout out to artists you love and appreciate.
you can send a shout out to them. You just there's rules. That's all. I mean, basically, there are online DJs who do stuff, but the key is you have to transform the song. So if you're scratching on it or doing something on it, I feel like they're not going to mess with that nearly as much. But once you've played X amount of seconds of uninterrupted song, they're like copyright.
Yeah.
So if you're talking or scratching, I don't think they'll mess with that. Um, but I mean, there's still a limit. But I think you get like 30 seconds or something like that. But yeah, if you're just playing or even if with video, if I want to do commentary on somebody's video, I have to comment on it. Like I have to pause it, I have to talk, I have to transform it. You can't just play it.
Fine. I'll just play a little background music, instrumental of my song that I co-produce. They can't do nothing on this one.
Exactly. and in all honesty, you're better off shouting yourself out than shouting out fucking.
No question. Yeah, go check out "Make You Mine" by Anthony Treble and Island Boy K. You start recording yet? Because if not, that was
I've been recording. Yeah, Erica Badu is dope, but she don't need no help.
I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't playing no.
Yeah.
Baraka I do.
What'd you say? Let Jay Electronica help her.
Yeah, we'll just leave this underneath. It's just the instrumental. I ain't even put the whole song on. See, that's how y'all know I own the rights to it. I got the instrumental. I got all the WAV files. Well, me and Island Boy K. That's a joint record. I don't want people to think I'm trying to lay claim. But did get it placed with a major publisher. Just got it registered. And getting close to getting it on the radio down here in Mexico. So looking forward to that. This would be my verse right here. But I ain't about to do all that. So what's up, man? I was what was I looking at? I was actually going to ask you about too. I was checking out something you had asked me to look at the other day, and I was like, all right, that's just crazy.
Not the UFOs.
I looked at that, the spy balloons and all the shooting down. Excuse me. It was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, either way, that's my thing. Either way, what if it's Chinese balloons? That's very interesting. And if it's something other than Chinese balloons, that's also very interesting. And the way it connects to a lot of the pilots, the thing that was so interesting was the pilots reporting movement that they couldn't explain. Right, in terms like the speed and the ability to hover, vector.
Wait, is that the same thing with the balloons recently? I remember them talking about that a couple years ago. That first one that came up out the water. Because I saw the video and I was like, "Yo, that's not that." Yeah, no.
So wait a minute now, and this is where you got to be very careful. Like, can't be loose with logic or language. There's only one confirmed balloon. They shot down 4 objects.
Right, but only the first one that was shot over South Carolina was called.
They called it a balloon. They told us it was a balloon. Right. The others are called objects.
Right. But you know what I'm talking about from a few years ago? That first video that surfaced.
Yeah. Bring the track down. Like now, so I can. Right. That's part of this, right? So they refer to those things that move from the atmosphere into the water, or from the atmosphere into space, blah, 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 as transmedium, right? Transmedium. They're able to, whatever form of propulsion they have is dissimilar to ours, right? Like, we don't have tech that can fly into the water and back out of the water. We don't have...
We do in the MCU, but not in real life.
We don't have plane marines yet. or subplanes or whatever we're going to call them, right?
Or
They
Iron Man.
or Iron Man. Now we have uh amphibious vehicles, but they don't fly. Like we have
Right, that's what I'm saying. They're not underwater and then come out through some form of jet propulsion or some other form of propulsion and
right. It's
are
not
able to
definitely
fly.
not jet propulsion for sure. Like
Well,
that's
right, no, I was talking about in the MCU films. That's what the appearance is. Like when you
yeah.
see like Iron Man fly out of water, it's
So that's part of it, right? So
excuse me.
none of these objects were all airborne. These objects that were just recently shot down, there were no transmedium, but it's connecting to some of these other unexplained sightings, which were transmedium sightings. There are a couple of folks. I think I'm going to get names wrong, so I don't want to go. I don't want to say names,
So
but
good.
I think it's David Favor is the number one guy who, and that's the Tic Tac. Right, that's how they've labeled that object because he said it looked like a Tic Tac, like a white Tic Tac, right? And they were able to two people well four people saw it. So you have an aviator and then the sighter in the back, right? The communications, whether weapons tech in the back. So there were four people, two jets, four people, and they all saw this thing and they saw how it moved. They saw the speed at which it moved. And then they said it was hovering above the water, and underneath it looked like a larger craft, and the water between them was like roiling or boiling. So it's all interesting. Like I'm agnostic in terms of what they are. Like what I know for sure is that the government, whether we want to say it's to cover our technological advancements or to cover some other countries, technological intrusions. I don't know, but I know for sure they keep a lot of secrets around this area, right? Like, no pun intended, Area 51 type shit.
Nah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, they've always suggested that. I remember hearing back in the day. We both have familiarity and stuff with the film industry, and I remember hearing something like, "Whatever you see in a movie, the military is 15 years ahead of that, or something like that." Someone had suggested something like that, like whatever advanced weaponry is depicted in the film, it's like, yeah, in real life, they're actually like way
right
ahead of that.
now, I feel like that's bullshit because we've seen some
Right, it seemed
pretty
like an exaggeration, but well, that's only
well.
because of where we are
Also, who
now. I'm
was
talking
that? Who
about
was
back when I was talking about like in the 80s and 90s,
right?
like,
But even then, like I always take
excuse me.
things people say with a grain of salt. That's the kind of statement I would give more weight if it was coming from someone on the military intelligence NSA side, not the film side. Because on the film side, it's like, well, how the fuck do you know?
Well,
Like,
supposedly through
my buddy,
stunt
my
coordinators. Nah, like ex-military dudes that are stunt
nigga.
coordinators.
So those dudes who signed the paper that said you can lock me up forever if I tell the secret. Those dudes.
Well, nah, yeah, no. I'm talking about they're not revealing specific secrets. They talking about crap like, yo, we got a flashlight that don't need a battery type stuff.
That would be major.
They probably got it. I don't know.
Power source with no battery, or power without
Yeah, like a
perpetual
Tesseract
energy.
powered flashlight or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I seen a commercial for the one that they put in a block of ice. It didn't turn off. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah, but that's explainable. Like physics can explain that.
Yeah,
You know
but
what
we
I'm saying?
just got that. Dude in the commercial said the military hadn't had that for a minute. I'm just saying.
No, tech like that, I'm all for. It's just I
Right,
don't
but
think
that
we have.
includes weaponry too.
No,
My whole thing is if a flashlight that I can buy at the highest level isn't anywhere near comparable to that flashlight that this dude just exposed, suggesting that this kind of flashlight they had 10 years ago, then
I
my thinking is whatever kind of weaponry that's out there,
no.
whatever we think is the most advanced, they probably got something 10 years ahead of that.
So number one, I mean, and everything's possible, right? What
I
do
don't
I
know,
know?
right? I'm just
Yeah,
saying
things
it's
things are
possible.
possible. But what I'll say this. First of all, in terms of
Oh, and he
the,
ran over the flashlight with a truck, bro. And it
no,
didn't break.
all that shit is dope. I mean, I'm sure that flashlight also did not cost you $5.99 available at CVS. Now I was just gonna
I just
say,
ordered it online for like 20.
yeah, okay,
Maybe it's 30. I can't remember.
okay. I don't know,
Who
but
said he was an ex-Navy SEAL? You don't remember the commercial?
he said he was an ex Navy SEAL. I probably stopped listening as soon as he said that.
Well, yeah, I figured if he got on national TV, somebody would bother to check if he actually was a SEAL or
But that's the thing too. You got to
served or
remember,
something.
not every SEAL, not like the SEALs are a fairly large team at this point, right? Not every SEAL is SEAL Team 6 kicking in the door shooting Bin Laden.
No, I get that, but I mean, the
Like
flashlight money had access to
that's what
him.
I'm
That's
saying.
all I'm
He
saying.
could have been the flashlight guy. That could have been his whole shtick.
That's
So
all
maybe
I'm saying.
he does know. He could have been the battery guy.
I'm not saying they got a set of flippers that don't need batteries that you could put on and propels you through the water. I don't know. He probably
Now,
don't either. He didn't go on them missions. He was lighting it for him. But whatever. He
I
had to
used
do
to
it
think,
that way.
I used to believe when I was younger, I used to believe that the government and moneyed interests had a lot more advanced technology and things than I don't believe that as much now because I've seen how stupid a lot of those motherfuckers are.
Well,
Um,
I think it's just been an exponential kind of thing because I kind of feel the same way. At when I was much younger, because I mean, we've kind of seen our own country play out where there was this one time where you at least could value the level of intellect that you saw at certain levels of government, and that's like exponentially decreased as time has gone on because there are more and more people that are representing us in Congress and things like that that it's like, wow, this is the best we could get.
well, if
This,
the
I mean, like, it's literally a house full of friggin' criminals.
yeah, there's I mean,
That's not
uh,
that's like known. Like, you can look at it, it's like
no,
90 felons or some crap out of the 455 or whatever the number is. Was it 435 in the house plus?
yeah,
Right? Is that right? 435 in the house plus the senators
100. Senate
plus
Senate doesn't
right,
change.
535 plus three other ones. I think it's 538 is the number. What's the like Puerto Rico?
Bro, I don't know. But I know it doesn't
I used
matter
to
that
teach
much.
that crap. Yeah, and I mean I used to teach it. That's why I feel like I should know. I want if we convey information, I want people to be properly informed. So somebody goes up.
Me too. Which is why when I don't know, I can't. I'm not going to waste time speculating. I don't know.
All right, fair enough. I just thought you might be able to confirm. You're a relatively intelligent guy.
If I can, I will. No, what I know what I know. I know what I don't know. I don't look. If
Plus,
my
I don't
brain,
feel like having. I should just have a friggin' Google.
you,
What you
you
call it?
you
Or
should. That way, if you want to say something
you know what?
definitively, you can.
Or maybe not Google. Maybe we'll shout out a different search engine.
Bing/Chat GPT out there making big moves. Big
Bing,
moves.
yeah, Bing went and did
They
some.
incorporated Chat GPT.
Yeah,
Microsoft has incorporated Chat GPT.
yeah,
Very interesting
slick.
results. I've been it's hijacking my searches lately. Actually,
Excuse me.
like I never used to get Bing returns, but now I'm getting Bing returns.
Mm,
Um, with
bang bang.
interesting results. I like Chat GPT as a search engine. I think once they get it kind of squared away a
I
little
don't
bit
think I
more.
messed with that one. I like DuckDuckGo sometimes.
No, no. So Chat GPT is it's not a search engine. That's the natural language AI that everyone's been talking about.
Mm, mm,
But this is why Google is nervous. It can do everything Google well, it's been demonstrating the ability to co-opt a lot of Google's territory. It's able to give you answers, but it gives you answers conversationally. And you can ask conversational questions. You can talk to it. It's just a person with access to the internet's knowledge. Well, not a person, but you know what I'm saying, a chatbot with access to the internet's knowledge. So where Google just returns you like a list of search pages, ChatGPT would be like, well, blah 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 blah, based on current blah 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 blah.
but if you access this information from this site, they suggest da 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 da. Like we talking about that advanced?
It's pretty. I
That's
mean, again, right
pretty
now,
brilliant.
so we're at 3. This is ChatGPT 3. 4 should be coming out this year, they're saying. And 3 is a giant improvement over 2. So now everyone's speculating. Now that 3 has been released in the wild and had the opportunity to be conditioned by millions of people, it's like the most downloaded app ever or most accessed app ever. Um, the
Say
whole
what?
yeah, 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 yeah.
I had to
Uh,
process. I was like, the like we
within
definitely,
or broke a record. Yeah, that might
which
be a
is significant in today's world. My bad, I got a mosquito in here messing with me.
Yeah, but so now everyone's wondering, well, what's the next level going to look like? And now are we starting to get in that recursive loop where I mean, because these things happen fast, and I mean really fast. And then once we kind of get into it, where the crazy part about it is it can code. It can code. It of course it's a computer. It knows computer languages,
Oh
right?
no! I'm
So
getting more shook by the second, bro.
yeah, well, that's I mean, you got to look at that's always been the
I
path.
thought the dancing robot was creepy.
Oh, that's nothing. I mean,
That's what I'm talking about. Like when I first saw that years ago, I was like, okay, we definitely headed into a really ugly place right now. And now I'm just like,
yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not making any moral judgments yet. Like, I'm a technologist. I like technology, generally speaking. You know, I like improvements and such. But I do see the dangers, and this is something. I mean, people have been talking about this in the sci-fi space forever. Now it's moving over into the more of the science space. But so the singularity point, the point that we can't see beyond, or some of these points that we can't see beyond, right? So
right,
right now we have smart people writing code for the chatbot for the AI. We're rapidly approaching the point where we can tell an AI to design the next AI,
yeah,
right?
like we designed you. Now take what we gave you and you go design the next best thing,
Correct.
which is
But
frightening.
computers move fast. So the whole concept is very quickly, not only will it will very quickly do what we ask it to do, but it could very quickly create something that we don't understand, right? We like that we don't understand because we did not code this. The computer coded it, and
Right.
the computer is obviously going to do things its own way, especially as it becomes more optimized, right? So the idea of this sort of recursive cycle you get into is so we make A makes B makes C makes D makes E, but that happens. So what would have taken us 3 years, the computer does in 3 seconds because it's a computer. And we very rapidly end up with a end product that we don't understand.
Exponential.
Correct, 100%. So I think that's
Scary.
the direction that a lot of us are looking to see if is that where we're going? Is that because that no one
Already
can
sounds
predict?
like it. I mean, you
Well,
already said this application is out being used now. That's with the general public. Just like we just discussed, there may still be something to what we don't see.
oh
This is
well,
just what we don't see.
there
Right.
definitely is. Even I mean, we know that, but this is not the military making this. This is these are private companies, right?
No, no, I get it.
That
The,
doesn't
the
necessarily
military
make it
hires private companies.
right. Well, that even on a different level, it doesn't necessarily matter per se. Like the AI may very well not care about that type of stuff. Like you can fuck who you are. Um, yeah, and they've already been like if you think this what we're talking about now, hold on, bro. I can you want to get scared? I can scare you a little bit. Hold up.
I've
Because
been scared enough with some of the stuff I read.
there've already been some
Something that I read
interactions.
recently really had me on some like, wow, I used to love the Matrix. Now I'm on some like the notion of a simulation is actually scientifically explicable.
There are some people who
Creepy.
say that the probability of us being actually alive now is lower than the probability of us being simulation. Which philosophically, I kind of shrug my shoulders at that. It's like whatever. I mean,
Right.
Descartes.
I mean, like,
My
not like I can
consciousness
prove you
is what
right
it
or
is.
wrong.
It's where like, right, it doesn't really change anything on my day to day. Um, but yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, it was talking about the notion of, what was it, like dimensional perception. Like we exist in 3D, so we can't really process or comprehend the notion of fourth dimensions.
At
And
all. At all.
right. So but that dimension, like for us, two dimensions is very simple to understand because we exist in three dimension. So if there
It's
is some fourth dimension, then we're simplistic in comparison. Thus, that they were suggestions like, we may just be functioning as a simulation of a higher dimension.
Yeah, that goes back to what they call the holographic universe, right? Like any two-dimensional point on a holographic surface has enough information to recreate the three-dimensional structure. There's an old book. I remember when I was majoring in philosophy. It's called Flatland, and it talks about this, but in a more mathematical sense. But basically, what happens with when a fourth dimensional entity comes into the third dimension? What happens when a fifth dimensional entity comes into the fourth dimension? But
Right.
the problem, like I've been researching this kind of stuff, but on a from a slightly different angle, like multiverse theory. Um, there's a very good chance. Okay, there's an extremely good chance that our universe, the explanation that our science has given us, is very incomplete. There's a very good chance that it's incomplete, and there are all types of possibilities in terms of what the actual reality under. But will never know. Like more than likely, I mean, we will never know. Me and you will definitely not know. But the
Right.
human race as a species, the science. So there's
And,
one
and
level.
the interesting thing is, I feel like there may have been a time in our history where we did know, and then we wound up here,
I
where we
mean,
think we know everything and don't know
yeah,
anything.
and that's a whole show right there. And sort of like the whole idea of sort of the cycle of civilization or whatever.
Right.
But no, but a good possibility. It's like the speed of light stuff. Like there are natural barriers, there are natural limits. I was just watching something about the infinite universe, the idea that the universe is actually infinite, right? As a theory, that could, I mean, actual infinity would basically mean there's enough happening that everything is happening somewhere. If it's actually infinite, like every possible permutation combination of atoms and molecules will have to happen over the course of infinity. You know what I mean?
Well, right. Now you were just referencing infinity not only with respect to time, but also with respect to space.
Well, that's the most important part. Is it
Right.
the
That's
space part? Because
spec-
not eternity, infinity.
right.
Because what that basically means is, so first of all, if the universe is truly infinite, there are distances and it's expanding, right? So it's infinite and getting even bigger. There are distances that are
Which
insurmountable.
that didn't even make any sense. If it's
Well,
infinite, it's like
well,
getting
no,
bigger.
no, but that's
Like,
when
but
you get,
it's in that state because it's infinite. It
yeah, but
never stops being.
yeah, but you got to remember there are different sets of infinities. Now we're getting into the nasty side of math. I don't
Uh,
want to get into,
I,
but remember,
I stopped
there's
at diff EQ. I had a
there's a,
headache at that
yeah,
point. So differential
you
equations, I was like, I'm good.
there are
Because I got
different
to a point where there was no more numbers. I started getting pissed. I was like, how you gonna have me in a math class talking about solve this problem? Ain't a single number in here, money.
because underneath the numbers are the concepts, right? But yeah, there's definitely, just saying something's infinite is insufficient.
Yeah,
There is more information needed, right? Because you have like the set of whole numbers is infinite, right?
yeah.
The set of all whole numbers.
We just are
Well,
limited in
hold up,
how we can classify them.
hold up. So the set of all whole numbers is infinite. What about the set of?
I would say the set of all integers is infinite.
Okay, that's fine. What about the set of all even integers? Is that also infinite?
Trying to figure out if there's a trick there. The notion of even or odd wouldn't matter with respect to infinite. It would continue, right? I
So,
mean, we just conceptualize the idea of even versus odd. It's just the
it's a
skipping
concept.
numbers,
But
right?
my question is, so we said the set of integers is an infinite set. Is the set of even integers also an infinite set?
I
I think
guess if you're classifying them
it
separately, yeah, because I
I
guess I
mean, it
don't
is. We can
separately.
classify. We can classify. What
I
you
mean,
don't
yeah, we could
normally
break
think
down a
about
set
this, right?
of yeah,
I'm taking you back to your philosophy training. We can classify it any way we want to, right? So we're
fair
gonna.
enough. Yeah.
So my question is now: are those two infinities equal?
Hmm.
Because the set of all whole numbers includes
It's
the
the
set
set of even numbers, right?
and a whole nother infinity on top of it. This is
Hmm.
why I stopped with the math.
Well, I stopped before I even got to that thought process because, like I said, once I didn't see any more numbers, I was like, "Yeah, I'm done. I got a headache. This is too much."
Also, for the community in development that will be in our comment section laughing at us because neither one of us is a math major, I teach English. I teach film and English. Okay,
Hey, you
I'll
know
take you
what?
to the
Nah,
edge of
screw
stuff
that.
with math, but
I teach math to this day. I put in mad years studying as an engineering student. Did I make it? No, but I did make it all the way up to Calc 3 with physics and then differential equation. I made it there. I could teach fractions and decimals and percentages. I just can't teach logarithmic expressions and
yeah,
matrices and
go
crap
go
like
tr-
that.
try to teach long division to a sixth grader with
I can.
with this new math setup. I
I
can't.
know. I do. I do it now. Remember?
I can't.
Oh, bro, it took me a minute because I had to learn some of these new concepts,
Yeah,
these
and that's
area
well,
model
that's the thing. There are new.
multiplication concepts and stuff. Like, I was
That's the
like,
thing, bro.
why
There
don't
are
y'all
no
just
new
do it?
concepts. There are no new concepts. It's the same
Well,
math. It's a
it's a
new
new
concept and
manifestation.
the
Right. It's just
teaching.
right. It's just a new way to present the information. Like we're
Yeah, the
accustomed to
most
standard
confusing way
algorithm.
possible,
No, actually, like there's some aspects that I'm starting to
bro.
see why kids
No,
get it.
they don't.
No, no,
They
well, the
don't.
ones that I'm working with do.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
but
maybe
that's
you're a
only
very
because
good teacher, right?
well, no,
In
but it took, but and in all honesty, maybe that's part of what it is. The teachers who are doing it haven't grasped the concept themselves. Because
no,
once I understood what they were, I was like, oh, now I see. And I was like,
it's
oh, that's why a
bullshit. No,
kid
son,
makes
it's
more
bullshit.
sense.
Math
Right?
is
No, no,
math. Hold up.
right.
I'm
But
not
there's
talking to. Hold
mad
up.
different ways to do it. Like
But
we know
this is a
that.
stupid way because the kids don't fucking like it and function with it. The parents can't help, and
Well,
most of the
you
teachers.
say different way. It depends on what you mean, because there's a certain aspects that haven't changed, and then
Okay,
they've started to change conceptually with certain things with division and multiplication.
here's what I'm saying. Long division worked.
Standard algorithmic division works, but there's two methods to do it.
Hold
The
up, that's not what I'm not. That's my point. Is I'm watching relatively recently, watching seventh and eighth graders being taught math. As an English teacher, I'm just there supporting the math teacher, right?
right.
Math teacher who's like in her 20s, but she was taught under the method that I know because I'm watching her own brain confusion. But if we were going to do this, the way we did it was not the way. Maybe that's my larger point because I'm not a mathematician and I'm not qualified to say this method ultimately is more efficient. I'm not qualified to do that. What I am qualified to do is tell you I watch the eyes of the children glaze over because they're not getting it.
Oh yeah, that
The
I've definitely
teacher the
seen.
teachers are not capable of explaining it in a more thorough way without reverting back to the math that they were taught for the most part. And then the parents are completely fucking lost.
Oh yeah, and all of it comes back to the foundational approach. They still don't want to address the things foundationally that will help them understand things that we think of as
So,
simple. We
bro,
think
some
of
of the
multiplication and long division as simple for
because
us
it is simple the way we
because
do it.
of the
It's
way we
simple.
learned it.
Why
But
not
our
fucking keep
foundation
teaching it that way then?
no, but I'm talking about foundationally. They actually have reordered stuff because there are these supposed educational geniuses. But then when I talk to my mentors, my pops, Mr. Pender, guys that are in their 60s, that first generation of educators, they told me flat out, it was like, one, there hasn't been a new idea in education in the last 40 some odd years. They're just reformatting and regurgitating the same crap. Anything that they attempt to create that is new ultimately fails. That's basically what they both said, and I was like, yeah, I've kind of
because
seen some of that play out because it's
it's
like, what's the intent? They're worried that kids aren't learning a certain method even though the method is proven. And it's like, well, no, you have ineffective teachers, you have ineffective methodologies, you have ineffective assessments. Like, I get groups of kids that I'm supposed to teach long division to, but they don't understand place value.
Well, that's a problem.
That's always the problem. They literally don't understand the absolute foundational concepts of numbers. They're not taught those things first. They jump into other crap. Then they try to come back and make those kids understand. It's like long division is difficult enough. It's that much more difficult if you don't understand really basic concepts when you're looking at the numbers and what positions they're sitting in, because they have different values. That's why you're breaking them into groups. I
They're
teach my kids
supposed to
all the time,
learn that
like
when
it's
they do
either adding
decimals.
groups, you're either adding groups or you're breaking things into groups.
When you're going into decimal work, that's when you're supposed to learn like the hundredths, the tenths, the place value, right?
Right,
That's
but no, but you're supposed to learn the basics of place value before that, because decimals incorporate values less than one. When you're doing
correct.
whole numbers, you're still supposed to teach place value, ones, tens,
Tens,
hundreds.
hundreds,
Yes,
thousands,
before
right,
they
right.
even get the concepts of decimals. That's the problem. They don't even
Okay.
get that. So they're waiting to get to decimals so they can learn that. But you're trying to teach them long division and they don't
Hey,
understand. It's like, well, it's in the hundreds place. They're like, hold up, which one is that?
hey. I'm with
About to
you.
lose the
We're
time.
we're about to lose the time. Play us out, and then